Thank you so much, Mamta. Sorry, Mr. Giridhar, welcome again. Thanks for accepting. I have known Giridhar from so many years since college, so it just comes up. So sorry if I'm doing it again. He has a very interesting profile, which I'll be reading out to you. Yeah, he's basically a BCom and MBA graduate, and his experience started with his career in 2005 as an automation analyst at Owen Financial Solutions till 2007. He worked in the US mortgage firm ISGN for 3 years till 2010 to move on to online advertisement industry in AOL for 2 years. Worked at HP for global sales analytics as a consultant for a year, and then he decided to quit the corporate job in December 2013. He went on to build mobile applications called Reminds Me, and then a hyper-local marketplace app called Fish, and failed both times and ended up bankrupt. Then in 2014 November, started Barrel Exhaust and began selling from the boot of his car as he had zero investment. In 2015, he managed to get a small 1 BHK house on rent as sales saw a positive climb. In 2016, a full-fledged manufacturing facility and expanding the sales from local to now in 12 countries. Grew the team from 1 to now around 20 employees working out of 3 states. With only 6 lakhs revenue in the first year to crossing over 1 crore turnover in the third year, Barrel Exhaust remains completely bootstrapped. In 2019, opened a new division called Barrel Electric, and the team is now working on building India's fastest motorcycle by 2021. I'm sure it is very, very inspiring to all of you. Without wasting much time, over to you, Giri.
Thanks, Divya. Thanks. I'm really excited for this opportunity, and thanks. Sorry. Yeah. So thanks so much for the introduction. I mean, most of the things covered, and I want to take this opportunity to especially thank the management at CMS, and before I forget, I actually want to thank everybody who's played a part in my life for what I am today. So I thank family, my wife, her sacrifice, my colleagues, my team, basically, my well-wishers. So I don't want to waste too much time. Let me cut short quickly on this.
Sorry to interrupt you, Giri. Just a moment. This is going to be an interactive session. Students can post your questions in the chat box. Or if you feel like asking questions, you can, I don't think you'll be, you can talk, but please do type your questions in the chat box. Yes, Giri, sorry. Yeah.
No problem. I'm going to actually take a very little time being a monologue because I don't like that. I'm going to tell my journey and the learnings, the mistakes that I've done, and the things that it has taught me, so that it's going to be really helpful for a lot of people watching today. So I'm going to keep it somewhere between 20 minutes is what I want to spend talking, and then I want to have answer a lot of questions from people who from after listening to me. If you have any questions regarding specific thing that you may have in your mind, I would love to have a dialogue in that. So just taking you through what happened, why I am here today, talking to all of you rather than not just being any other a regular employee, which I was. So I'm going to take you through from the beginning in a very short span. So my life actually not start off very well in terms of from the schooling. I was labeled I think below average kid all my schooling. So I think most of them connect in terms of, because in schools we are always graded in terms of what marks you get and stuff like that. So I've always been that way and put in the last bench because I was a dull kid. And that last bench, actually, a lot of people sitting in the last bench actually have more creative, ideas. So I'm lucky to be part of that last bench group all through my education. And it so happened that after in my childhood, I always dreamt of becoming a fighter pilot. So the love for automobiles is something that actually stuck with me all the time. anything that moves fast, anything that makes a lot of crazy sound. I love it. So and then my dream of becoming a fighter pilot was so much that I used to tear all the books hard covers and make fighter plane models out of that. And then naturally, because of my not having a good scores, I was put behind and humiliated and in the school and stuff like that. So all these things happened. A lot of people are the same. But then what happened was because of not having a good grades in my 10th standard, I actually lost the opportunity to take up science. All right, and then it so happened that I had to. I was only qualified to get a commerce seat, and that too my dad somehow found a seat for me in a commerce, and then everything shattered there. So most of them, what happens here is everybody have a dream, and then if something doesn't work out of the dream, we actually lose our confidence there, and that's what happened with me. Now, I'm so happy today. I'm talking about these things to you because the batch actually that is going to come out, pass out for this year and the next, is having a very big challenge compared to anything that has happened before. Because the time now, due to this corona, the entire world has changed. It's the way it operates. Everything is new. See, I would have been even more happier to have stood in front of you and looked into your eyes and talked to you. Made more sense. Made more thing. But this is the new normal that we are all going through, and it becomes all the more important for you, each and every one of you here, to actually look at the opportunity or an obstacle that is going to come in front of you. Now it's up to you how you change it. So let me just go through my life a little bit to say where decisions made me good in life and bad in life. So I actually sat through yesterday, do a little bit of homework so I don't miss the points that I actually want to tell you. I don't want to take you through the entire journey. It's available online. So what I would do is I'll tell you how things started. Now, after I lost my dream of becoming a fighter pilot, all I had was going with the wind, which most people do. Now imagine each and every one of you, somebody would have just joined a particular, taken up a course because your friends are into it. Somebody is pushing you to do it. You don't have a dream. Like, it's very common. I didn't know what to do in my life a long time. So there are a lot of things that I went through of, why should I do something? I just went by, okay, my friends are joining something, so let me join. My dad asked me to do MBA after it. Okay, let me do, because he found one of my cousin did his MBA and, did well in his life. So he thought, okay, my son also does MBA. Probably, I have this very good analogy that I want to share with you guys. This is really interesting. So let's say I hold a book in my hand and say, this book can teach you swimming in 30 days, right? So people who out of you, let's take a case that 50% of you guys don't know how to swim. And I show you a book and say, this book in 30 days will let you swim. Now you go through this book 30 days, and on the 31st day, if I push you to a pool at just 5 feet deep, do you think you're going to swim? No, exactly. You're not going to swim at all. You're going to drown in that 5 feet. But that's exactly what happens when you come out of education. It's actually very new. What you've done in your education is not going to be. It's going to be preparing you for the start, definitely. But it's not going to be showing you the reality unless you get into it and do. And as MBA folks, 17 years back, when I actually passed out, a lot of my friends are, we were attending a seminar and they asked us, what are you going to become after you come out of MBA? And like, most of them replied, I'm going to become a manager in a company. I want to become a manager in here and there. So I was actually laughing because of the same analogy that I gave you about swimming. You cannot become a manager unless you know what is happening inside. There is a lot of things that the institution prepares you for, but post that is where you have to take, and plunge into it and figure out. And for that, I would say startup is the best thing to do. A lot of institutions actually promote your entrepreneurship culture inside the college itself. So, how many of you would have a dream to, just live a normal life by, going to a company, joining some company, and then, just climbing the ladder and joining the race that you are not supposed to, or you don't want to. So here's where things change. I went with the flow. I got a job in Aquin. I didn't even know what they were doing. I just got a job, salary, joined it. Most of you guys would have seen your friends do that. So join, and then just hop on jobs for salaries and better, life standards and stuff like that. But then over years, what happens is reality hits you, like how it hit me after 8 years of 9 years of working. One day I just stood in my office at work, and then I saw about 400, 500 people doing the same job that I was doing, day in and day out. So what am I adding? What value am I adding to myself? So I made a very stupid decision that day, which I'm not regretting right now because it's the best decision. Is I just thought, Giri, you're not doing anything great than what other people are doing. You should be doing something great in your life. So I quit at the moment without even giving a second thought. I just sent a resignation letter to my manager saying, I'm done. I think I have to do something else. And everybody said it was the stupid decision, and it was really, because by the time I quit my job, I was married, I had a kid, and when at the time it was the most stupid thing to do because I had nothing else as a backup. But the courage to do something like that is what actually gives you the first step to get into anything you want to do in your life and following your heart. But that time, what happened was I didn't know anything about what I wanted to do. That's when the mobile applications came. So I started working on 2 mobile applications. Well, first one actually reminds me. I didn't know why I was doing it. Just because mobile applications were flourishing and people were making a lot of money. I said I'll do that, and then failed very badly because of some operational things, because I didn't know what to do, how to do, and stuff like that. So that put me in a very bad state. And the second time, and then I didn't give up. I said, okay, there's something wrong. I think I should fix that. And I made another hyper local app called Fish. Fish actually drowned me more badly than reminds me, and to a level where I had zero money in my pocket. All my savings were lost. My house was sold. I sold because of all these things. And there was a day when I actually had to lock up myself in a room. I felt I'm done. I'm worth nothing. All the 8 or 10 years of my work experience and 20 years of my education did not stand to the reality of life that hits you, which is actually going to hit every one of you. Like, not just me, it happens to everyone. Everybody who thinks getting a job is settling in life is the wrong notion that actually a lot of elders and parents drill down into you, that get a job and then you settle in life. So that's not true at all. So when that happened, here's where I'm going to start bringing you a few things that you got to listen to. It's about failure. Failure is the best thing that can ever happen to a person who aims to go higher, because the only path to success is through failures. Because unless you fail, you're not going to learn. Success does not add value to anybody. It's only the failures that add value to you. And what you need to have is the courage to fail. The courage to fail comes when you don't give a damn to what people think about you, and when you know that you have a dream that you follow. Now, that is what happened that day. Was when I failed twice, and I was locked up in my room. I was not having even 5 rupees with me to buy a chocolate when my kid returns back from school. So I was like, I don't know what to do. And then what happened was I got a call from nowhere, and it was a company called IOPEX, and a call from the chairman of the company, who actually had seen my LinkedIn profile about my failures and stuff like that. And then I'm going to cut it short. He offered me a job, a very high position, and gave me the liberty to choose my package, everything from zero to getting your own, very high package in just about a matter of a day. So this happened in my life, but that actually shows you what is important in life. Like, all the time I was doing good in life in terms of having a good salary package and a big multinational company. I never used to get any call from this kind of a position to take over the department or the entire product portfolio and stuff like that. But then what happened was, the moment I started failing in life, wherein I started trying something new every day or something that which can lead me to failures, that is when people started looking at value in me. So failures actually bring value in you. So I would urge everybody to try things in life which drives you towards your dream. It's okay to fail. You have to fail initially, because that failure actually teaches you that nobody else will teach you, and it teaches you the best way that you will learn. So that happened, and then the best thing about failure is you will learn only when you don't give up. And my thing was, I actually did not take up that job, and I started giving another try. I said I actually humbly rejected the offer, and I said, I'm gonna try once more, one last effort that I have in my thing. I have to do it. And that is when barrel exhaust was started. That I just sat in front of my bike, and I was thinking, I'm being a rider actually. So I just sat in front of my bike and I thought, what can I do? And then I saw what I wanted, and I built first an exhaust system, which I loved. When I loved it and I tested it, people loved it. And that's when it all started, that I put everything in my car boot, and then things kicked off. So even when we started all these things, there was a lot of issues with no money. I just if you've seen the movie Founder, the first scene, where the person keeps his products in the car boot and waits for a sale. So somewhere around in this Bangalore locality near JP Nagar, I still remember that I had got my five to six products done, put it in the car boot, and waiting literally on the streets. Parked my car outside the bakery somewhere there, because I couldn't stay in home. It was very humiliating when people asked, "What are you doing at home? Like, are you going to get some money? What's happening?" and stuff like that. So I parked my car somewhere in JP Nagar, and waiting for my online some inquiries to come up. So every day somebody asks for your product. It's like, wow, that's one sale and stuff like that. So that's how it started in a road. And then there is something like about when you follow your heart, the universe will start helping you, right? So in this journey of entrepreneurship, what happens is, the more passionate you are, the more love you pour into what you want to do. Even if you don't have anything, the skills that you don't have or money you don't have, everything will start coming into you. So the first step is important. And what happened is, the moment I started, doing so much and pouring my effort and everything, the universe started responding to me. The friends started coming up and voluntarily helping me. People started joining me without any salary. So what happened was, I couldn't even pay myself. So I had people walk up to me and say, sir, I know what you're doing, and I really like it, and I want to work for you for free. So then I got to grow a team for free, which is very rare. I mean, people saying, it's okay, whenever you possible, you pay me. So initially, I used to pay my first couple of team members by recharging their mobiles, buying them a meal. All these things is what I used to, think as salaries. So then slowly what happened is, we started gaining a lot of foothold in the market. And within a year, we were able to move from selling on the streets in JP Nagar here nearby to a 1 BHK that we could afford. And then what happened was, that's when, when you get the force of universe helping you, you got to be pushing yourself further. And then that's where the selling of the dreams come in. So I started selling my dream to people so they could give me some loans. So I got that, made our own factory. Now there is something here. You know that I've done only BCom and MBA, no engineering background, no knowledge about what manufacturing is. But today I have about 8 engineers working for me. I have a design team that actually, people who come from Italy, studied in Italy. We sell our products, which was selling on the road here. Now it's sold in about 12 countries. And today we also have a division that actually is working on building India's fastest electric bike. So all these things couldn't have happened without one dream and passion and sacrifice. These three things are very important for any person who's coming out right now, because there are a lot of opportunities now. There's a lot of obstacles out there. Everybody is cribbing. They have problems now. The life has changed. You can't go out easily. You can't go and touch things. You can't go buy things how you were doing. You can't meet people the way you were doing. So there is problems everywhere around you. And as business, graduates, whatever, you have to have this thing to find problems everywhere. Look for problems. Be like those scavengers, like finding out, where what is available, which can I convert to an opportunity. And that's the primary thing, and there's one more thing about what how you start. I'm going to end this soon. So in between, what happened was the journey is not easy at all. It is not rosy. People look at entrepreneurs who are coming in big cars and saying, oh wow, these guys are making great, that's how business you get into. But there is a lot of story that is inside. Inside the same car there are people who are actually sitting and even shedding tears without letting others know. One such incident happened with me, where after about 2 years, what happened was the demonetization happened, and a lot of things. When everybody must be knowing about how many businesses got affected because of demonetization, and not just because people who have lack money, but there is other good businesses also which went off because of the economy. And then what happened was I ended up, after 3 years into being in the business, that I did not have money to even pay salaries. And it was on the 24th of the month, and by the end of the month, I have to pay salaries to make sure my team has food on plate. So it so happened that I was sitting in the car, which actually where Barrel was started, and I ended up selling that car without telling any of my teammates, and I sold that car and I had to pay salary. And it was a very emotional thing, because that is where I actually started my business. The car was very dear to me. And then I, to make sure that I know the pain, I sold the car, gave the car to this Car24 somewhere far away. And I walked back all the way to home. I didn't take a rickshaw, I didn't take an auto or whatever, because I wanted to feel the pain in my legs so that I buy a car quickly. And in 3 months of effort, I sold a small car, and I bought a car that is about four times more costlier than the old car. So in just 3 months, that is the pain that people have to go through, but that is worth it. When you lose something is when you gain something bigger. And so that is why I always stress to people who actually talk to me, don't get into the race. Just try things new. It's okay to fail. You have one life to do everything in. Once you die, it's gone. So in this time, is everybody have to do that. You have to fail. You have to be ready to fail. Everybody wants to. It's like, I want to go to heaven, but I don't want to die. Like, everybody wants to go to heaven, but then nobody's ready to die. Now, if everybody wants to go to stardom, they have to go through this pain. Now that is something that I want everybody to set a mind, and only when you fail, when you have these lows in your life, is when your story becomes, good. Because I just, it's like somebody telling, okay, I was born, I was raised, I got a job, I got married, and then I lived my life and I died. That's not a good story. Any big entrepreneur, any big guy who actually inspires people, you see their story, they have a lot of lows and highs, and that's what life is. And you got to be prepared to that. Everywhere you are prepared to win, succeed, pass the test, everything. But nobody prepares you to fail. The parents don't let kids to fall down. They say, oh, don't fall down. That's right from the childhood. That's very bad. You got to fall down. That's when you know how to ride a cycle well. You need to know, what's the point of learning swimming? The moment you lose your fear of drowning, that is the point where you learn to swim. So that's exactly what you have to do here. You have to fall down. You have to try things. And at this age, like when you guys are passing out right now, is the right age to start things which, when you don't have many commitments around you. Like, if you ask me, I think it took me 35 years to find out what I love. That is the worst thing that could happen, but it's okay. Most of them actually are living their life without knowing what they want to do. but that's okay. But there is a way how you find out. I'm going to share with you that trick of how to find out what you love in life. It's a very small exercise that worked for me and worked for a few of my friends, but definitely I will share that with you. I want everybody of you to try that. The reason why I don't have slides in this in the thing is, I'm not here trying to present myself. I'm trying to connect as a friend, not as a lecturer or something like that. No. So listen to me as a friend and a person who has actually gone through some things that most of them don't do. And so here is it. So let's look at this 7-day test, something like that. Like, you have to find the purpose of your life. So to find the purpose of your life, it's not easy, but here is a very simple trick to how to do that. Listen to this carefully. All you have to do is to when you're going to bed at night, keep a book and a pen next to your pillow. Okay, sleep, wake up. The first thing when you wake up for 7 days, first thing when you wake up, take the pen, write down 10 things that comes to your mind in the list, like top 10, whatever. Do this for 7 days. And after the 7th day, when you have to do this as the first, like even before brushing your teeth. So when you do this, and on the 7th, after the 7th day, when you look at the note where you have the 7 days of top 10 items that came to your mind first thing in the morning, you will see you have to take the top 3 of all these things. So when you take the top 3 of the 7 days, you can eliminate a lot of things that your mind doesn't fall into. And that is the industries that you don't want to get into. These top 3 things will help you to figure out which of these 3 things are you even willing to work without money. The top 3 things will tell you. Like for me, it always remained as automobile. So it was very easy for me to say, this is where I have to get into. And that is where, and if you choose those top 3 items, any of these which you are good at, your life will be very peaceful even when you are falling down. Because the top 3 is not mostly driven by the money. It is driven by your inner instincts that you can't hear normally. So at times of turmoil, if you are in any other industry, you say, oh, I don't have money, so I'll do something else to do this. But if you are in this top 3 items that is there on your mind always, you will not regret being in that industry. You will not regret doing that job. So that will keep you motivated for a longer duration. And perseverance is what counts in your life. You have to persevere even through failures. And the ones when you go through these failures and you persevere, you're going to beat everybody in the industry. Now, this is very, very important. Whatever you do, you be HR, your specialization could be HR, your specialization could be marketing, sales, finance, whatever. At the end of the day, what you're doing is you're selling. If you're a marketing guy, you end up selling only. But even if you're HR, you're selling somebody some package, you're selling somebody some job, you're selling yourself to get a job everywhere. And or if you're in finance, you're selling some financial strategy to someone. So at the end of the day, this sales is a primary function for which you need passion behind it to sell. So that is why I'm telling you, don't just jump into any job that comes by your way, like how I did. It's a mistake. Choose wisely a company or the industry that you love. Find out what you love and then join that. And then you will be able to do really well early. You will not lose the time that many have lost like me. The only thing, if you ask me what you want back, I'll say, put me back to the 2005 when I passed out of the college. Say I would actually gain those 10 more years, and today I would be much more ahead of where I am. So you have what you have today that many don't have is time. So please make use of that as much, and nothing beats that. And I think I took about 12 minutes more than what I wanted to do. And okay, one last thing. Today, where we are is our story is basically we call our story as bakery to factory. So we started in bakery, and then we now moved to a factory where we make products for a lot of brands and then sell it in more than 12 countries. And not being a non-engineer, I think I broke that thing that you need to have this engineering qualification to do this, or you need to have so-and-so things to do this. I have nothing. I'm a very below average guy. I don't know how to operate any machines in my company. I'm the least qualified guy in the company in terms of doing what I'm doing. So, but still what happens is because of the dream that I sold to my team, And because of the amazing, passionate guys who have joined me, they fill in the gaps for me. That's what happens when you follow your heart. People will come to you, because there are a lot of people. There are two kinds of people, right? One is they work on their dreams. The other kind of people, they work on others' dreams. Now you have to choose where you want to be. Even if you're on the second, I would say choose to work for a guy who actually has something to do with what you also love. So that's pretty primary. And hopefully by 2021, my team will be testing India's fastest EV, and we have much more things that we have to do, and that everything will come up. And we're also getting into a lot of other verticals. Like what happened was, once you create a brand, you put the brand on any product, it sells. Branding is something that actually comes with a lot of ethics, values that was instilled from beginning. It's not just like marketing and creating branding. It all goes through this kind of stories, the values attached to your brand based on all what you do so that is have helped us really well. And somebody telling you that you can't do something, it's like others' opinion need not be your reality. So people told me that you're not an engineer, how can you run a factory? You don't have money, how would you put up bring these machines and stuff like that? And how will you sell to people whom you don't know? Don't listen to anyone. Never listen to people. Distance yourself from people in the name of corona or whatever you can use. Distance yourself, quarantine yourself from negative people, negative thoughts. And this is the time where you have to be, really, really more better than what your previous batches were. So I'm not trying here to scare you, but I'm going to tell you really that when you walk out today of the college, probably, I don't know when you're going to be walking out soon, very soon, is there are going to be a lot of people who are jobless out there because of the situation right now. Nobody is hiring much, but they're doing, but not too much. And you have a much more bigger challenge than the previous batches. And you're going to be a new thing. So you have to make sure that you equip yourself in the right way. Choose to join a company, smaller ones initially, and think that your college doesn't end in 2 years. Keep the 2 more years like a MBBS. Like imagine you going to a doctor who has just done theory and you go ask him to do an operation. That's exactly how it's going to happen when you come out of college thinking you know everything. But when you go to reality, it's not going to happen. So consider yourself to have 2 more years of practical education and join a startup, learn things well, and continue with that. Now I don't want to take much more time. I've taken a little 15 minutes more. So I'll open it. I want to actually listen to what you want to know. No question is silly, no question is stupid, because I've asked zillions of stupid questions, which actually I wanted to answer for. So I'm very open to talk to you freely, ask any questions. I'll be able to help you. If possible, I'll be able to help you, and I'll do my best. Thank you for that. Do we have questions?
Giri, I think you can see the chat box, right?
Okay. Great.
There is one question in the chat box. What if we start direct selling business?
Well, I'm not seeing that. Okay, what if we start direct selling business? Okay, so who's asked that?
DGN. It's DGN, yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah, hi. So direct selling business. Now, as I told you during the talk, that everything has changed now. Now, because of the pandemic or the COVID thing, the things that were okay prior to this is not okay now. Earlier, if this session were to happen in a situation that was prior to this, I would probably be in a situation you would be sitting in front of me. But right now, this is not happening. So direct selling business is definitely worth, but it's about how you innovate in that. What kind of like you can't see a Eureka Forbes guy enter now to sell you a vacuum cleaner, but there are other ways where how you want to sell your product to. You can give them a virtual demonstration, because you can't say that I will call 1,000 people in an auditorium and do a seminar. It's like asking if I can do a seminar for 1,000 people right now in an auditorium. It's not possible. It's going to be happening this way. So until this thing's going to come back, I'm not saying this is going to remain, but until this comes back, you have to think of a different strategy to actually do the direct selling kind of thing.
Yeah, there is one more question. Give some information about support or problems relating to government agencies who have faced and how to solve them.
Okay, support problems relating to government agencies. Okay, so the government, I mean, I'm very sorry to say this because I'm telling you this straight away because I've gone through this. Though the government policies and everything are in terms to support, startup or whatever, there are going to be a lot of people putting roadblocks, more roadblocks in terms of their government policies and stuff like that. But everything said, during this situation, if you are looking for solutions, there are a lot of reforms that have happened, a lot of support that is coming from government. Even our company was supported by the current government in terms of the emergency credit line, stuff like that. So you have to be telling what kind of problems related to government agencies. Is it certification delays, or is it what kind of things? That will be a little more specific, because right now most of the government processes have become online, so it's become a little more convenient for us to do things. But at the same time, there are still few departments where they put more roadblocks and stuff like that. So you got to be telling what is the challenge that you were looking for.
Okay, and there is, do you think it's much more challenging for women to be an entrepreneur in India?
No. Women have a much better chance of starting up, because there are tons of support from the government for women entrepreneurs. There are banks that are giving special investments for businesses that have women entrepreneurs in that. There are you get a much better interest rate. So I think it's not. And then moreover, there are a lot of media attention for businesses that are run by women, because they are promoting it. You have a lot of support in that. So there is not. And when it comes to business, I'll tell you, unless any other thing, there is nothing different in terms of having run by a women or a man, because I think in management, women are better than men, because they're more calm. They can handle more stress than men, and their decisions are a little more clearer than men. So I think I have seen a couple of in my own circle, there are women entrepreneurs who are actually doing better than what I am doing. So, and there are a lot of people whom you can take inspiration from, right from Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw to a lot of people. And the best thing is you actually look at your mom at home. So she's the best entrepreneur who is actually managing everything: finance, HR, purchases, inventory. Everything is what you can learn from your mom, and she's the best entrepreneur that you can actually look for. And in terms of government support, much more than women entrepreneurs. You have women entrepreneurs have a lot of opportunities. You just have to step out and do it.
Okay, there's one more question. So which sector seems to have a good boom in coming future?
See, that's what I'm trying to say. Which sector? There's every sector in terms of, right now it's all online thing. So now it's all about your innovation in every sector. Every sector that was prior to booming prior to this one, COVID, is still going to flourish, because that was an essential necessity. But now what's happening is everybody have to reinvent themselves. Food industry has to reinvent themselves. Education industry, as you're seeing, is already reinventing itself as we speak. There is a transportation industry that is, in one way, the rental bikes are not doing well, but at the same time, everybody if you take transport, everybody is buying their own personal vehicles now. So there are a lot of things that are going to change, and every industry right now. That is where I'm telling, each and every one of you have a zillion opportunities right now, because the tested, tried, proven, so-called proven structures of companies are all shaken up now. Right? Everything is shaken. Everybody is looking for a better way to do things. So I would say every industry that can reinvent itself based on the situation and the current scenario, will definitely boom. And in terms of education, like the sunrise industries, right? Pharma, definitely pharma is going to be rocketing after this also for another few years, because that is the only thing that is doing tons and tons of money now. And food, if you notice, the food companies that actually shut down recently are the ones who were not flexible enough to change to online deliveries and stuff like that. So it depends on how agile you are in the industry. Like the ones in the food industry actually took a hit. But those who were like pizzas and all those things, were even people who were stuck at home. They were like, okay, I'll order more pizzas. I'll eat more because I'm not. I'm deprived of going out and eating. So let me at least order those things and stuff like that. So every industry has a potential to grow in a higher rate, but only if they reinvent. So that's what I think. So
Okay, there's another interesting question here. Due to COVID, business ecosystem have become unpredictable. Is it good to have more than one business running simultaneously?
okay, Kirti Patel, thanks for asking this. See, in my journey itself, what happened was starting up a business is like when you start up, it's like your child, right? You have to give your attention to that. Now I was trying to do too many things out of fear of losing, and that is where actually it happened that I was making a big mistake of concentrating on a couple of things, hoping this plan A plan B things, right? So plan A plan B comes when you're not confident on your plan A at all, and it will not win. So I would say that when you are starting up a business, or when you're thinking of multiple things, um, you should give 100% attention to first thing right now, and until the extent where you make it autonomous. Like say 5 years back when I started Barrel Exhaust, every day I have to be in Barrel Exhaust for it to run. Now over the years, what happens is when you build the systems in, you make it self-reliant, autonomous. So that is why today, even if I don't go to my office for a week, I know everything is going to be functioning because I've made it self-reliant. Now, once you do that, you get your time to venture into other business. Simultaneously, if you're doing 2 3 things, nothing is going to get more attention. It's like you're not going to give full, reap full potential from a business unless you put in your full into it. So that 100% commitment is very important. I would say choose one, do one, and fail fast. So if you're starting something, if it works, it will work. If it doesn't work, you have to make sure that you fail faster and move to the next one quicker. So that way you can test things. Otherwise, you will keep pouring your resources into this company and that company. You will not be able to provide to one company fully, and nothing will work out. I hope that answers.
Yeah. Bhagya ma'am, I think your question is answered. Then we have another question. What are some of the mistakes that you felt you could have avoided in your business?
Okay. Yeah, there are like tons of mistakes. So there are lots of mistakes. I mean, my life is having about 70-30, 70% or 80% I've done mistakes only. So I have lots to tell about that, but I'll just choose few things that I will tell you. First thing is I lost time. I kept waiting for things to fall in place for me to start. So that never happens in life. The first mistake I did was I waited for things to come and fall in my lap. So that's never going to happen for anyone. So don't wait for your right time, all the stars to align and stuff like that. You have to jump in. You have to jump in you have to take a jump from the cliff, believing that you have a parachute, and you will get a parachute. But if you're waiting for the wings to grow and then you jump, it's not going to happen. So that is the first thing, that don't lose time. And you will never get time. Till date, the only thing I regret is I lost my 10, 15 years, which I could have done. So I will never get that, whatever I do. So don't lose time, waste your time in terms of waiting for things. So that is the first thing, mistake. Second is, never, this is about discipline in your financial management. So you have to be very disciplined in your finance management when you're getting into any of these things, because what mistake I did, I'll tell you, without any setup. Like I told you that I quit in the fraction of a second. I just thought, okay, and I quit without thinking of what happens, because I think it was my ego that I have done MBA. I've done 10 years of work, and if I walk out of this company, I would be definitely able to do. So that kind of an overconfidence and ego, actually what happened was, didn't allow me to think wisely in terms of what is lying ahead and am I prepared to that. So then what happens was, initially in the career, what people do is, once they get a job, they go buy a car, they go get more EMIs, they go buy a house because parents want your son or son daughter to have their own house, and then you burden yourself so much that you actually become a slave to the banks. Like, you're working so that the bank gets their interest. You're working so that people don't, think that you're living in a rented house, or you don't have a car or something like that. So initially, early in the career, I made this mistake of getting into those things. That actually delayed a lot of my decisions. It made impact on my decisions, because I need to say, oh, if I quit, I'll not be able to pay this year. If I quit, I'll have to, do something like. So that actually, don't get into too many of these initial. In your initial days, don't get into a lot of financial mess to please the society. So don't do that. That is the second. Third is you got to have a lot of trust in people that you are working with, but at the same time, you got to be making sure that I have some people issues in my company. What happened was, during the third or fourth year, we wanted to grow very fast, and we actually bought in some kind of consultants and stuff like that, so hoping that things will work out. But it so happened that though it really helped us, when you have a startup culture, or when you have something which is already running, you try to put something new, and it sometimes backfires because of trust issues. Now, when you don't have good trust that you generate among the people around you, what happens is, whatever you tell, basically it's communication, right? You got to be very precise in communication. And with the people whom you trust, if you're not communicating well, that is where the communication thing comes up. Whatever you have in your mind, I was unable to communicate properly, and that actually created a lot of trust issues in the company, and then we had to lose a lot of people because of that. So it's very important to learn to communicate well of what you have in your mind and what you're going to tell. If that communication is not going to be right, a lot of things get screwed up. So that is what happened in my life. That is something that I really messed up. Fourth and final thing, or what mistake I've done, is in the last 5 years, I've not taken holidays. There's no concept called a weekend. I think I have to say sorry publicly to my wife that I've never given her time. In the sense that even though and that is the mistake that people do when they get into business also. Meaning, I definitely had to put so much of effort, but at the same time, you have to give your time to your life, your people. So that is a big mistake that I did. I didn't do that, and had a lot of repercussions because of that. But still, I would definitely say that if it was not my family, my brother, my wife, who sacrificed so much for me, I wouldn't have been here talking to you guys. And hats off to them. And it's all because of them. Yeah. So these are the things about what mistakes I have done that I can tell you right now, because there are lots.
Okay, there is one more question. Is how to drive people who work for your ideas? As a team, we might learn a lot through structuring the ideas to form. So how to motivate and drive them in the correct way?
Yeah, this is very important. Thanks, Ashwath, for asking. So, see, as I told you right in the beginning, there was a day when I couldn't even pay myself, and I got people join me. So what happened there was basically how you sell your dream to people. So when you have a dream that you really love so much and you want to sacrifice everything for it, as I told you that the universe will start helping you. You'll actually have to sell your dream in such a way that people own it. Now, if I have 20 people in my team, I'm very sure that all the 20 people in my team are working tirelessly to realize my dream, because they have owned it. Unless they own the dream, what you see, like you have a vision. Like when I talk to my people, I'll tell you. I'll just give you an example for that. We have something called the 2025 BE 2025. So the Barrel Exhaust 2025 is a dream that is very massive. It's like, if you, sometimes people, if I show people, they'll think, are you mad? How can you even achieve this? It's okay. Dreams don't cost anything. So what you have to do is you have to have that kind of a vision, and genuinely you have to put everything out of your life into that. So that's when people start believing you, that he's willing to give up everything to get there. And those people who work with you will definitely believe in you. And that's what happened with me. And everybody believes that in 2025, be 2025, they will stand with me in that position where I've actually shown them. So it is very important to have a vision for you to convince people. So you have to have something. It's like you have to have a destination. Otherwise, your journey is just called wandering, right? Unless you have a destination, your journey is just wandering, loitering around. You don't reach anywhere, and nobody will come with you. You will be driving the bus alone. Now, if you have a journey, if you have a destination, then people who want to get there know that you will drive there, and then they'll join you. That's where you sell your vision to them. That's very important. And for any startup, it's the most primary thing for you to sell your idea to people.
Okay, there's one more question. Any training and special studies required for government support or help or subsidy?
Any training or special studies required for government support, help, and subsidy?
Or subsidy.
Okay, I don't know. Let me tell you what I understood from this. You think for you to get a government support, help, or subsidy, are you asking that you need any training or special studies?
Yes,
okay,
yes, I think.
Okay, if my understanding is correct, I'll say for government support, help, subsidy, I don't think any of these things are important. But let's say government support. I'll just take a case of, if you want a support from a government in terms of any credit line or support or subsidies or something like that. There are basically some conditions, like you got to be a registered company and stuff like that. So as long as you're a registered company and your taxes are paid and you're in a business that is legal, government subsidies and things will definitely flow into you when you qualify to it. There is no special training or something needed for that. You have, and for these, what you do is you have your company auditors. Their job is to do that. So they help you, where what is available, where you can get some support, which can be utilized. So one more best thing you have to do is learn to delegate work. Once you're into a business, that is the biggest mistake I did first. I forgot to tell that. When you start something, don't put everything on you. Like Giridhar is there in finance, Giri is in sales, Giri is taking care of people, Giri is taking care of production. So that is one thing. What happens is because you love your work so much, you don't want things to go wrong. You put yourself in every shoe and you mess up things. That's what I did. I messed up a lot of things because I wanted to be in everything. I wanted to know what is getting manufactured. I want to know what is getting sold. So I said, and then when things are all open up is when I said, okay, I'm going to leave it to people now. Hire people, give them their responsibilities, and just sit. And my job right now in the company is to just remove the roadblocks. I have fantastic people now doing their job, and I don't interfere in them. I trust them. I give them, because this all comes from learning of me being in everywhere. So if you ask me today what is being manufactured right now, I probably would not know until I have a weekly meeting. But that is the best way to do that. Similarly, hire people, hire experts, pay them, and you'll be peaceful running your business. So get a CA, get an auditor, get everything, and then your business is peaceful. So I think for this you don't need a special training. Probably you need a that particular person who is skilled in like CA to get that things done.
Okay. The next question is, if you have one piece of advice to someone just starting out, what would it be?
Take the first step immediately. So you don't wait for things. Don't wait for anything to fall into place. And the same thing, if you have done 5 years later, you will definitely have a repent of, oh, I should have done 5 years back itself. So don't wait for anything. Try it out and be prepared for failures also, because you always try. When people start things, you have to be positive. I'm not saying no. You have to think that you're going to do well and stuff like that. But be prepared that it is going to beat you very bad, nastily. Like it's going to be making you cry. It's going to make you think low about yourself. But that is the moment when you hold your perseverance, hold yourself stronger. Once you move out of that, then there is glory. So, but be prepared for taking a hit. There is nothing called settling in life. This is my belief that a person, when somebody asks me, "Oh, now you have a company, you have a team, you're doing this. Are you settled now?" I said, "I don't settle until I die." Right? Nobody settles until they die. And if let's say if we take the case of like yesterday, I read about Jeff Bezos, the Amazon guy. He is now the richest guy on earth. If he is still going to work tomorrow morning, that means he's not settled. Then I think we all have a long way to go ahead and not settled at all. So I think settling is only at death. You have to not settle yourself before that, and don't wait for things. Start it off immediately. Whatever you're doing, try. Because even if you fail, you're going to learn something. That's the best thing.
Okay. The next question, please, can you explain the system to prepare a project for loan, help to restart of business?
So that's called the business plan. So basically, you have to see the business plan. Rather than explaining it here, I'll tell you something that when I was working in my company, also there is something that I always stuck in front of my cabin, which says trust in God. God is not actually what I'm talking about. It's a Google-oriented development. Now everything is available in Google right now for you to get the structure or template or whatever. Now all you have to do is, because you're going to restart some business, you know in and out of the business, which nobody else knows. You have to just go and showcase how you want to be getting back to life, and putting in that order, and basically making a business plan and giving it to the bank. They will help you. And right now it's the right time to do, because the government, I think until September 10th or something, they have another new scheme that has come up for supporting businesses that are taken a hit. And plus, if you are an MSME, definitely government is going to give you support. You should do it faster now. I think it's possible, and the template is all available in Google. It's not that.
Okay, next question. This is an interesting one. Have you ever got the thought of giving up as an entrepreneur at any circumstance?
Oh, many times. Many times. 2 times I always thought I will close down the business. There was a time when I was having so much of, we were doing a lot, but results were not at all coming. We were losing money, business every month on month. And there was a day when my wife asked me, when we went for a walk, I was actually very much tense. So I just went for a walk with her. And then she asked me, you know what, if you think you're not going to make it, why don't you just search for a job, man? I close this off now. And for a second, even I thought, like, maybe I'm putting everybody's life into risk because of my passion, because they've already sacrificed so much. They've even my daughter has sacrificed a lot. She's like just about 10 years old, and she sees a lot of her friends go to Disneyland and stuff like that. Where if I would have continued my job in HP, probably I would have taken her twice to Disneyland. But it's been like a lot of years. Even she has sacrificed. It's okay, pa. We'll do it later. It's okay. We'll go later. And all. She's at that age. She's also been supporting me a lot. So, and I've come to closing the company, and then that is where things happen. Unless you're doing something that that is not money driven. Like, see, business has to be money oriented, right? Profit has to be. If you know profit, then business dies. But that should be an outcome of what you're doing, not just the main goal of what your business is. Only because my business, I'm doing out of my passion, my love. Even when there is no output, I'm still able to push through the pain, right? And that is when you become more stronger. That is when my business become more stronger. Like, I am able to deliver even when there is no return. I am able to deliver with the same commitment, keep my team going. See, I said, the moment when I didn't have money to pay salaries, that means I didn't have money to pay anything, any bills. I've been behind on my rentals for a lot of time. I've been very, very, very fortunate that my landowners have, they know me, what I'm doing, what I'm going through, but they supported me. My bills, a lot of times, I know in the last year, a couple of years back, my phone, whenever I used to dial my call, I say, Priya Grahak, your balance is so much, stuff like that. So I have to cut back and call. So these are the situations that I've gone through. But that doesn't stop me at all because I love what I'm doing. So, and I'm able to convince people that yes, things will work out. We have to push through this. And that is why today we are where we are because of all the things. So I would think multiple times I've tried to shut down the company. Even Corona, the COVID, when it hit we had actually abandoned our factory. It's like the Janta curfew happened. We thought we were going to be coming back after a day or two, but that never happened. 2 months, the entire business was shut down. It's locked, abandoned, and I had to pay salaries. I made sure that even to my last maid, the food is put on their plate, and I will eat after they eat. So that was the situation. But then what happened was my team and I had to do a lot of back and forth calls and stuff like that, and brainstorming, and we came up with the COVID essentials itself, not just the regular hand sanitizer thing. We made the UV, ultraviolet disinfection systems. We started making. So that is to survive. Now this year, again, recently we were supposed to shut down, but then the team coming together and thinking of an idea to push through, where whatever challenges that are coming, we're going to be pushing through it. So that is what is keeping us going. So closing the company was like about 2-3 times we have come close to closing the company, but I don't think we will ever do because not only me, my entire force, along with my customers also, they are so much in love with us. What we have done is we've getting support from every corner. So yeah, and many businesses go through this. It's not.
Okay, the next question is, what is the correct time to start network marketing?
Yeah, they told network marketing or whatever it is, there's no time that you have to wait for. Do it tomorrow, today. Why tomorrow? Today. So it's about what you're doing. Don't waste time. I've been telling you, reiterating on one thing. My regret that I'm going to take to my grave is that 15-20 years that I've lost. That will never come back. That is one of the things that I will go. So I don't want anybody to waste time. If you want to do something, do it right away from your sitting at the comfort of your home. Now everything is network marketing can be done at home only, right? So you can do it right away. Don't need to wait for anything. Don't wait.
Yeah. How do you manage funds in manufacturing how did you manage funds in manufacturing at the initial stage? Okay. Was it your own or any consultants were involved?
Yatisha. So what happened was I told you that we barely managed to pay rental for a 1 BHK house after we started selling on the streets. And then from there, what happened was we didn't have a factory. So we used to outsource our manufacturing to a vendor. And it so happened that this vendor was this kind of a chalta hai attitude that most of them in India have, that it's okay if this is the quality, let it go. We were never okay for low quality and stuff. No compromise on quality, because our brand, our customers were very much more valuable to us. So what we did was we had to start, we chucked him out, and then we thought if he could do something and then we were able to sell that, we will be able to do it much better. So that confidence in us said, why not we try it? Let us try setting up a business, a factory. And then the second thing came up about me selling my dream. So what I did was I approached a couple of people, talking to them about what I want to do, where we are, where I come from. So that is where the story helped. That I was selling on the streets, I was doing these things, I failed, and then I came up here. Now I have so much of orders, so much of things to be sold, and I want to get there. I want to be doing this. And the way I sold my idea to somebody, a person called Srinath, actually, without any security, without any thing, he just told me, okay, I'm giving you 15 lakhs. Take this 15 lakhs and return this back to me in 1 year. So I said, that was the best deal that I got. I said, no, banks did not even let me in. They said, we don't have any. I lost my house also, so no property to pledge and stuff like that. So they said no. So then only option is I had to sell my dream to people. So I sold my dream to somebody and got the money. And what we did was we returned it in 8 months. So whatever money we got as a loan from him, in 8 months we set up a factory, got machines, got people, and then returned the money also. So that's how the initial thing started.
Okay. One more question. What is success according to you, sir?
Success is, see, it's a very vague, subjective definition that each person has. Success means so many things to so many people. But one thing I would say is success is not measured in money at all. It's not measured monetarily, because if you think uh, Tata is less worth in terms of money compared to Ambani, then Tata is a failure in terms of money. But no, in terms of what value you create. So success is basically what value you want to create and what are you able to create in your life. So that is, if you take in that into consideration, the local the pani puri wala that's standing outside, if he's able to hire one person for his help, and he's able to put food on his plate, that is a big success also. So success is not just driving in a big car or living in a big house or doing things, but it's about what value are you able to add. And everybody is born with some purpose. See, each and every one of you who watching this video has something unique, something. You may be failing. See, I scored about like 4 out of 100 in mathematics once in my life. So that doesn't mean that I no value at all. So it doesn't mean anything. So, but today, if I'm able to feed 20 families and about so many other hundreds of people more that I've already done, that is a success for me. Every small thing is successful. Whatever. If I'm able to put a small task today that I have to complete it, and I finish that, that is a success. And if you keep those successes so small to you, you will be living very happily, and that happiness is success. Don't never measure success with happiness, because see, yesterday there was a friend of mine. I don't want to take names. A friend of mine who was working in a big company, who continued to work in a big company, and he was very well off stuff. I would not be afford to. I was not. I mean, it took me like 2 years for me to afford a vacation for my family, but he was like roaming around international. But yesterday, what happened was during COVID, he lost everything. He's lost job, everything. If I compare myself with that person, I'm not going to be happy at all for the entire last 3 years. But today, wherever I am, wherever he is, if I don't compare myself with others, I'm going to be more successful in life. So the only person whom you have to compare with you, which I do in my company as well, is yourself. Don't compare with the person who's sitting next to you. Don't compare with the person who's living around you. You will be more successful in life. We're doing that. Because everybody's life has a different journey. There's a different destination. So don't compare a monkey who climbs a tree with an elephant that is not able to climb a tree and say, monkey is successful and the elephant is not. Very stupid to do that. So don't run behind this notion of comparing or measuring the success with other person. If you are doing, let's say, if my sales last month was 10 lakhs, and this month if it is 12 lakhs, I'm happy, I'm successful. But if it goes 9 lakhs, I think I have to work on myself. I know where I have to work for. It's not comparing whether my competitor is selling 20 lakhs or he is doing 3 lakhs. It doesn't matter at all. The true growth is when you compare yourself with yourself, and true success is when you see how you were prior to this and how you are. Are you able to do well? Are you adding more value to your society, your family? Small things. Success is not monetary at all. So that way you will be peaceful.
True. Yeah. This is a good one. What was your answer to your family when you decided to quit your job?
I think I quit the job and then I called them. So it was just an information for them. As I told you, I made like hasty, stupid decisions, which actually turned out good, luckily. But I actually quit my job and then told my family that I came back home saying, "Hey, I'm unemployed today," but they were a little, taken back for a second. But I'll tell you. That's why I always have so much of gratitude to my family, my wife, my parents, my brother, that everybody stood by me and said, whatever you're doing, do, and we will support you, no matter what. So till date, that's been one of the biggest support that I have, and lucky to have such kind of people around me. So I am today what I am because of all the people around. I am alone, nothing. Like I told you, in my company also, I'm the least qualified to work on the machines that I bought, and alone I could not do anything. It's all credit to my family, my team, my customers, my vendors, my well wishers. So my family they were devastated for a few minutes because I started selling things. My savings kept on, because when you don't have an inflow, only outflow was happening. It drains faster. And then there was a day when I had to sell my house, which I bought just before registration. That is the day which I felt really bad because my wife was her first home, and then she said, "It's not going to happen." But it's okay. It's okay. Giving up 1,000 square feet, 1,500 square feet for a tomorrow's 400 square feet. I mean, for a 4,000 square feet mansion is good. So that's the dream that is keeping us going.
Okay. What type of investments are available to an average person for a startup, I think?
What type of investment? Okay. There are banks that are giving startup loans. If let's say you're starting a business, also you get a loan by submitting your business plan and whatever it is, it's available. Second thing is there are a lot of companies, private kind of companies which have there's a company called Kirana.com or something like that, where there are a lot of online companies I can actually share later that they fund startups. You can pitch to VCs if you have a really crazy big idea and you think it needs to be funded. But I would suggest my suggestion is two things. When you start up, first, don't go for funding immediately. You have to try it small. You have to test it. There's something called validation. See, any idea that comes to our mind, because it's our idea, it looks like $1 billion idea. Okay. But most of this ends up telling the customer don't even need your idea. So first thing what you have to do is to validate your business idea first and see if it has a potential that somebody would pay money for your service or a product. Unless you do that, unless you validate it, it is really risky for you to get others' money and put it into it, because the moment somebody else puts money in your company, you are actually trading your freedom for the money that they give. So your decision making is delayed, your agility is gone. But definitely sometimes I'm not saying investments are bad, but you have to carefully think through whether you really need investment to start. But I would always suggest start small, test it out. That is when you test your product viability, your products marketing capability. I mean, like whether people really will pay for your product. Are you better than your competitors? So all these things you do, and start small. Like start really small. Once you're getting confidence, grow. The moment I would advise to any startup that don't chase the investors initially. Chase the customers. Chase the customers. The investors will follow you. Like once we showed a lot of progress in the last 1 or 2 years, we had a lot of proposals from people around the world. We want to invest in Barrel Exhaust. We want to invest in Barrel Exhaust. So I never had pitched to anyone. The best pitch is show your customer count. So show the growth in terms of your customers. The investors will fall in place. So that's my advice.
Okay. The next question is, whenever it comes to ideas of startups, many ideas pops up. So how to stick with perfect one?
Okay. Yeah. So the idea, this is true that everybody gets ideas, a lot of ideas. And it's also true that the same idea will pop up to different minds at the same time. It's not just that the Wright brothers were the only guys who thought about a plane. A lot of people thought about a plane, but they executed it, right? So there are a lot of things about ideas, and there is one main thing about the execution. None of the $1 billion ideas is worth any rupee unless it is executed properly, right? I might have 1 billion ideas. And one more thing is, always don't go for many ideas at a time. That is why I told you that 7-day test. If those ideas are in different industries, if they are, put it through the test and see whether that is something that you really like out of the 3 ideas or 4 ideas that you have, is something that you really can do, put in your heart and soul and get that done, and test it before you launch it. I have one more thing that I do in Barrel Exhaust, which I want to actually master, but I'm regularly working on that, is I sell before make. So in Barrel Exhaust, what we do is, when we launch a new product, it's like a new idea. Okay, just analogy. When we launch a new product, what we do is we just do a rendering, a digital rendering of the product, and sell it and put it online for a pre-orders. Now, what we're doing here is basically what we're doing is we're testing whether the product people will buy or not. People will pay for the product or not. And once we have that this product is put on online and people are already watching it and then paying for it, ready to make pre-orders and something like that, then you're sure about investing money in that particular idea. Where in this case, it's a product. So that way, what happens is I know that I'm going to build this product at the cost of the customer's money, not my money. So that is where I want to do is when you have like 2-3 ideas, you have to crystallize of which one you want to concentrate on, which is more feasible. If out of 3 ideas, you might have one idea that needs a lot of investment, or the other idea that might need a lot of technical know-how immediately for you to get into, or the other idea might be just like you can just do it, from home and something like that. So you have to see which one is feasible, which one you are willing to, sacrifice everything around it, and which one is validated by the customer. These 3 things you test and then put your bet on one. If you have 100 rupees, you put, it's like the funding thing that investment thing that you have to have a portfolio, right? But before you putting into a portfolio, you have to start one and look at that one to grow, and then you have the disposable income to put into a portfolio, right? Don't go into all the 3. Find out what your heart says through the 7-day test that I told you. Choose the industry, and then you put your investment or money in that.
Okay, Vedant wants to know that is your company's goal and your personal goals go hand in hand? Is it the same? That's what he wants to know.
Yeah. So who has me that?
Vedant.
Vedant. Hey, hi, Vedant. Thanks for asking that. See, what happens is post your education, the majority part of your life is actually the work. Like even in the day, you're going to be spending more time at work than at family, right? So when you have a work goal that or a career goal that you have, and that goal fortunately, if it goes well, your personal goals, like whatever your personal goals could be, providing a big, comfortable life for a family. I mean, that is the overall goal, that personal goal people have, that comfortable life, a luxurious life for a family, my kids, everything, protection, financial stability, and stuff like that. These are the personal goals. And your professional goals are going to be, if you work on your professional goals well, and that has an effect of your personal goals, because the most of the time that you spend in a day is at work. Like say, average about 8 to 10 hours you're going to be thinking about work, and then or little more than that. We work about 14-15 hours per day, and then you sleep off. You spend about 3-4 hours with the family. Like technically you spend only 3-4 hours with the family. Now, if you are not going to be happy at work, which is going to be taking a majority time of per day in your life now, going forward at least, you're not going to be happy to bring happiness to your personal life. So it is very essential and important. If you've seen a lot of people gripping, right? They have to drag themselves to work on Monday mornings. They will start looking for a Saturday from the Monday itself. So this is a very horrible life to live in. Now, in my case, I'm very fortunate that people on Saturday have to remind me, so tomorrow I'm not coming. I'm like, why? Then they say, tomorrow is Sunday, sir. I'm like, okay. So we don't have the concept of, that is when, and then we wait for the Monday morning to get to office because there are a lot of things to get done. So you have to love your work. You have to love that part of your life, because when you do that, then automatically the other part of your life will fall in place. Because if you see, most of the things that your personal goals are, apart from the most important of, like I told you that my mistake was that you spend quality time with your family. Apart from that, because that doesn't involve any money. But apart from that, it all involves money, wherein you actually have to provide a very comfortable life. You have to provide education for your kids tomorrow. You're going to provide financial stability for yourself and the family, and medical assistance to your parents if they require. So all these things will be achieved through having the main part of your workday life well. So choose wisely your work, your industry, your things, and the goals there, which will help you, set things right here. I hope somewhere this is my learning. I feel it is connected because it's a part of life.
Definitely, yes. Here, there is a question from Rajesh PV. If you remember, he was a batchmate in MBA.
How do you manage your emotions and keep on doing the right thing without results in your initial days? Yeah. Hey, Rajesh. Hi. So emotions are definitely there. I mean, managing emotions is really tough when you are going through pain in life. So yes, I have I've had time when there was no results after putting a lot of effort, hoping for everything that it will turn out well, and nothing happens. You feel like you're at the end of your life and stuff like that. I've locked up myself in a room and shed tears and stuff like that. So everything is gone through. But as I told you, like in the initial days when there was nothing happening, also there was one thing that actually I've been stressing from the beginning was I chose to do something that I will even do it for free. That because I love doing that. If somebody asks me to work on an automobile, even if they don't pay me, I would love doing that. So when you choose to do something that you love doing, which gives you peace, like if somebody is in the teaching field, I'm just giving an example because we have awesome lecturers here. So if they love giving lectures, teaching people, no matter what, they will have peace when they do that job. Like I would forget all my worries if I start working. So that actually is something that is very important ingredient in us, that we choose to do something in our life that we love. Like it's the passion turned into a business. So the moment I go to my work, it's a stress buster for me. It keeps me going, and the belief that someday I will win. If not today, today I lose, but I learn. But tomorrow I will win. That confidence is something that actually kept me going in initial days. That actually made me capable to convince my wife, convince my family when they saw nothing as a result from me. It took me almost like after the two failures of the mobile applications after my quit job, it took me almost close to 1 year and 17 days to earn my 1 rupee, first rupee. So in that 1 year, all where I was losing money, the first exhaust sold to a customer, and that 3,000 rupees was my first earning after in barrel exhaust. So that until that money came in, the first rupee, every day was hell, in the sense that it was preparing me basically. I think now, right now, I see it's like looking back at that and connecting the dots. Every day going through that bankruptcy, going through the failures, going through rejections, going through emotional things that am I worth living? Am I worth doing things? So all these things basically makes you stronger. So after that, I think what happened in my life was that bankruptcy that I went through and the failures that I got through made me so strong that even after starting Barrel Exhaust, and I told you a couple of times I came to closing the company, even at that moment, I think that strength that I gained through going through that pain actually held me, gave me strength to hold people, hold my family, hold the business together, and pass through that issue. So those things, basically, like going to zero was very scary for people. I mean, it is scary for people. Like, oh, what will happen if I don't have any money in my pocket? But now, if you ask me, I'm like, I've been there, done that. I know it is not as scary as what it sounds. You have all that you have to do is to have a little bit of courage and believe in your dream. You have to do something that you love doing. You will easily come out of it. So I think that is where in initial days I was just trying to tell. I keep motivating myself with self-talk. It went to an extent that my family and my mother-in-law especially, she felt really worried that she gave her daughter to me because I had started talking to myself when I was alone. When I'm walking around in my home, I used to just talk to me as if somebody was talking to me. So it went to that level that my mother-in-law was worried that, oh, what has happened to him? He's going mad. Does he need help and all stuff? So we go through all these things, but I'm definitely telling you that it is worth, if you're having a dream that is worth dying for, you have to do it. Even if it is not going to be successful, you will live your life peacefully and you will not take the regret to your grave. So that way, that's what I've gone through.
I think we'll take one last question. We are actually running out of time, but are there any specific character traits of an entrepreneur?
There are many, and there are few that I am still learning. The first thing is you got to be basic thing is you have every entrepreneur who is really successful has two things. One is he reads a lot. You have to indulge in books, in reading, in basically reading. I meant is continuous learning. Like if you, it's like sharpening your axe. You have to like Sachin Tendulkar. Even though when he's not playing, he's not partying, he is constantly practicing so that he's prepared for that Yorker or the bouncer ball that life is going to throw at him. So one thing is being an entrepreneur, you have to constantly learn, never stop, because your competitor is always trying to kill you. So that is one. Second is you have to be, I don't know, somehow maybe illogical, but you have to get up early. You got to be up before the world is up. That's when you get to do a lot of things when everybody is sleeping. Then your competitor is also sleeping. So that time is when you have to wake up. My mom also keeps telling me this, but I am slowly getting there. The second thing is apart from learning, you have to be able to get up the 100th time you fail. You have to get up the 101 time. If you give up, then you no longer have a chance to win. It's all about being right once in life. For an entrepreneur, you can fail 100 times, but all it matters is the 101st time that you're going to try. If you win once, that matters. All your failures is going to go off. So perseverance is something that has to be with an entrepreneur, whatever happens. Third is don't listen to any negative thing. Anybody's opinion about you need not become your reality, right? So you have to be telling yourself over and over. Even if you're not that, you have to keep telling yourself that you're good, you're doing this, you can do this, and that confidence will slowly grow into you and it will radiate to your team. Like during the tough times, everybody looks up to the business head, the leader that is the source of their inspiration for them. That will we be able to do? Will we be able to go? And if you are not courageous enough, and if you're not able to take the stress and keep going on, it's like you take the hit and keep going. If you're not that material, then you're going to be losing things very quickly. People are going to lose confidence in you. So you have to have so much of confidence that people outside you it will be contagious for people. You will be contagious for good things to people. So that is the quality that is very important. These are few. There are lots more, and respect time. Time mostly in India, I don't know, in Western countries and all, there are a lot of people. It's like if they tell 10 o'clock call, your phone will ring at 10 o'clock. But in India, normally when you come for meetings and stuff like that, people say, I'll be like late for 20 minutes. They'll not even tell you. A lot of people do this. Okay, they don't value time. Time is one of the most valuable thing that people don't follow. And as an entrepreneur, he has to value time. This is the most costliest commodity and the most biggest thing that people can lose and never get back. So these are the things, few things. There are lots more. I don't have time. It'll cut short.
Yeah, there are two more questions. Can we take those questions, or
yeah, okay.
How are you placed? Okay. What is the best key skills we should learn for marketing?
For marketing?
Yeah.
Okay. See, marketing and sales are slightly different. The marketing actually aids sales activity. So marketing by mean there are in communication, right? So if you're getting into marketing, you have to be able to articulate your idea well. You have to learn few things about how things are perceived, how things are communicated. So your communication skills and to some extent also what do you call that? You got to know. I think you'll be learning about consumer behavior, right? So what it is that actually hits the person about your product, mostly about branding. Now, when people say branding, it's not just about putting out the name fancily. It's when you look at some brand, there are some things that what comes to your mind as values. So what do you want your customer to think about when you come across as your brand? So for that, your communication is the primary thing in marketing. Basically, it's all about communicating your ideas to the customer, helping him making the decision. So I think that is the one most biggest skill about is communication. of how you want to do, whom you want to do, who, like you're based on your target audience. So that is a very, very important thing in marketing.
Okay, the next question is, how did you plan the growth of the business? How have you planned it?
Okay, to be very, very honest, I did not worry about how I'm going to get there first, because how am I going to get there is can change a lot of ways because things change in between. But what I kept in my mind is the end result. So, like, you don't need to worry about how you're going to move to that place. You have to know where you have to get to. So in my business, what I've definitely envisioned, and that is the vision that I've sold to my team members and everybody, is where we will be at the end of this time, at this time interval. So once you know where you have to go, then you on the way you will figure out how you want to go. Because today, if my vision is to put up a massive industry in India that will revolutionize the automobile space. I cannot say plan that, okay, by this year I will be doing this, and then this year I'll be doing this. That will come up once you know where you have to go. Like if you have to go from Bangalore to Chennai, you know you have to go to Chennai. But then you will figure out, should I go through Salem, or should I go through Vellore, or should I go to some other place? But your destination should be stable. So once you're done with that, then as and when life throws different issues and obstacles, you basically agile move around it, but you never change the destination. The most important is you don't change the destination, because if you change the destination, continuously keep changing the destination, you are going to be again loitering around, reaching nowhere. So I don't worry about which way I go, but I know where I have to go. So that is how I set the goals. Like the Barrel Electric came up. This is definitely going to help. So all you need to do is whatever steps you're going to take in your path, you should make sure that it aligns to your destination. That is the most important. Like I have to do things that will take me closer to that place. I can't go in the wrong direction. So as long as I'm in the right direction, I don't worry about what we do in the next year and this year. We have to get, that is the destination is what we more important.
Okay, the questions that are pouring in actually. One last question. On what basis do you choose a location for automobile spare parts store?
Okay. See, we basically are having about 70 to 80 dealerships in India. So, and still we have not covered. There are like tons and tons more available. We actually have choose dealers based on the states that we are targeting to. So let's say we have covered most of Tamil Nadu. We are covering more of Kerala. We've covered better in Maharashtra. So like that, we are actually going state by state wise. So once we see that there is a lot of inquiries coming up from that area, and there are a lot of new opportunities that are coming up, we definitely look for partners there. So we call them partners. So that's how we choose.
Sorry, okay, I think that answers almost all the questions. We're almost coming to the end of the session. I would like to give a thank you note to each one of you present here. First and foremost, Giridhar, thank you so much for being with us here today, for those inspiring words, for sharing your experiences, for those thoughts, and all those things. And I really appreciate for you to taking up the time and accepting the offer and being here. And I'm sure most of our students have already expressed it. They were like all very, very inspired by your words actually today. Thank you so much. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thanks everyone. Thanks. I'm very much humbled and fortunate for getting a chance to connect with the young crowd, which actually I love doing more. I wish and hope it was in person, so that I could look into the eyes and talk with more, get more time with.
We will definitely do that in future. We will definitely like to have you inside the college when
I would love to meet you.
Yeah.
And thanks to management. Thanks Divya for trusting and giving this opportunity. And I hope whatever I spoke was and add some value to people. Somewhere they can avoid mistakes that I've done. they could, and I'm also willing, I'm always willing to answer questions offline as well. My contact is there with Divya, I can take. And I look forward to see that the new batch comes up with more innovative, startups, and these startups is what actually will change the economy much better. So being a management candidates, I would urge everybody and I would request everybody to, there are a lot of problems around you, in your home, in your apartment, in your streets. There are tons and tons of opportunities lying around right now. So make use of it. Be courageous to fail, and that's the main thing. Be ready to fail. That's what I want to teach you. And I wish everybody good luck.
Thank you so much for that, Giri. He's always been this enthusiastic, bubbling with energy since college days. And I think I would say that is the major ingredient for an entrepreneur and for leadership. Okay, thank you again. And I would also like to thank all the participants here. We have many participants, many faculty people across the country.
Oh.
Thank you so much for joining us here today. And all the students, definitely without you, nothing can go so easily. And I'm sure many of our students are expressing that, there were a lot of takeaways from the session today. Thank you so much for being here with us today, to students, and all our faculty members who are present here today, Community Institute faculty members. Thank you so much for being with us. Our director, Mahesh Kumar sir, who's always been a great support to all of us. He's always supported us in every way possible. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And on behalf of Community Institute of Management Studies, I once again thank Mr. Giridhar and everyone present here today. Thanks a lot for making this a huge success. Thank you once again.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, and thank you, ma'am, for all arrangements. It was very interesting, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
That's our director.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you so much. Stay home, stay safe, all of you. And we look forward for more learning like this in future as well. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.